a book cover. Hi guys, if you're new here, I'm Yume, and today we are going to be doing something a little new, or at least new for me. I am making a book cover. This is not for an existing novel. This is a concept given to me by my partner, and I thought, hey, I've always had some level of curiosity for what it takes to make a book cover. I will definitely be going with the flow for this. I'm going to take you through the whole process, the research to the concepting to the actual digital illustrating and rendering, all of that good stuff. And I do believe that when you see the final results, you will be amazed. So stick around and I will walk you guys through my process of making this book cover come to life.
All right, people. So this first part I've already done off screen a little already, and that is thumbnailing, which is loosely getting some rough concepts to how I can go about the composition of a piece. And doing that helps me really push myself into different scenarios that I really can find interesting when it comes to placing, subjects like people or buildings and all that stuff. Although I will say my strong suit is people, not necessarily buildings. Although I do want to challenge myself a little bit here to get more going for the background. So we'll see what happens. Now you may be wondering, what is this book even about? What is the story? What is the details? Well, lucky for you, I have a lovely assistant ready to tell you. Give it up for my great grand buddy, Nacho. All right, Nacho, you gotta read the script, okay?
I don't get paid enough for this. Alright, as the story goes.
A boy witnesses the fall of a levitating city. In the rubble, he finds an angelic creature with the same likeness as his sister.
Wow, that's it?
Yes, that's it. We can't give all the details at the very beginning. You gotta leave the mystery. Now, we're moving on digitally to sketching. After all of my thumbnailing, I decided that I was gonna go with this one, and now you will see me here going into a more developed version of that. Our main character here, which is the boy you'll see in the front, is supposed to be somebody who is living in the lower class of their society in this future. And so I wanted to make sure his outfit would showcase something a little more plain. It's not gonna be as standoutish as like what you would typically think a future person would look like. Kind of average Joe, although there would still be some level of style that might not be the typical style people are casually just wearing today. Like, he's not gonna be in some hoodie. No way. Since this still is a developing story, I didn't have all the details that would be like a hard yes or no to building these characters, although there were certain things that had to be displayed at the request of my boyfriend. And so he, for one, wanted to make sure these characters were black, and two, that these characters were shown in some semblance of a futuristic but social class setting. That was the main two things I wanted to figure out how to display. Everything else was kind of up to my free will. So these were the two mood boards I made for these characters. And given what I put together, I now had a vision and I was just gonna follow through with it. So you'll see me here doing a very chicken scratch type of sketch that I'll do first, just to make sure that I have more of the gesture of the person correct. And then after I feel comfortable with that and the placement of like certain things in the background, I go in with a more clean, detailed version of that framework. In doing so, I have a more solid foundation before we even get into colors. Colors are very important, but if the colors are looking like weird blocks everywhere, then what's the point? So that's how I go about it. Although I had to reframe my mindset since this is going with a background, I actually really want the background to look just as good, if not support the subject. But in order to do that, I need to understand my lighting and space of the background before I even add the characters. So to do that, I took a step back and tried to get more knowledge on just what I should do in order to achieve such things, and I found sketches of Shay. She has a really good in-depth process of how she does her painting digitally, and one thing I really took away from the video was how she does her backgrounds and how much detail or time she takes into figuring out her lighting in that background, but also just finding ways to explore different types of lighting or ways she can create something even more unique along with her characters when she's doing these different types of scenarios in her background. It was a really good video, so you should check her out. I would definitely recommend. Basically, I took what I could from watching this video along with some others I found and went back in myself to do the same thing, or attempt to do the same thing, as this took me a really long time to find any sort of comfort in what I was drawing. The goal is to create 3 concepts of the background, see which one makes the most sense visually and what has good lighting. It's not supposed to be super detailed. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this first one was already a journey. I think though this is slowly getting me to something. I will say for this one, I kind of just focused mostly on just like, okay, think of the thought process. What is it that I'm trying to create? What's gonna get me to that right type of depth? And what's gonna make this not so clustered but still visually interesting as a whole when you apply my little like centerpiece and all that. So here I had to make kind of darker, and like here I had to make darker than like this back wall here, because I feel like it just makes like this feel like more highlighted, which I think is like my goal, is to make this feel a little more highlighted. Although I could go a little darker, hence why I put like shadows more here, just to create like a bit more depth of like, okay, like we are tucked away somewhere in a zone in this alley. And then, you know, you have your men down here coming up on them. And then the bricks, I just don't know how to do bricks yet. I needed to look more into like the bricks and figure out what the heck is gonna make this brick be brick. I don't know if y'all remember that like one episode of Phineas Ferb where it's just like brick, 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 brick. It's fun. Sorry, late night thoughts. 3 a.m. We're just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Low-key, what I did think of is like, okay, you know, this is an alleyway. Like, is this giving like, ooh, spray paint? Psh. Do I add some spray paint here? Do I add something here? One thing I really did think of was like this gal here, kind of as like a hidden like, or another throw upon like sky, like angel, you know, is to have like graffiti kind of just make this overarching like look like halo. There we go, like the halo effect, but like it be within the brick wall, you feel me? Like if you see me, you see me, okay? But like if you don't, then whatever. I don't know, we're just playing around, so I'll come back in and keep going from here. So
the last stretch of this process. There has been a lot of ups and downs and unexpected stoppers, let's call them, that have made its way into my life that have not made this a very straight way process in this. But I feel like this week, hopefully, I can truly wrap this up and get this into its completion. Right now, I'm working on getting the text of the book cover into Procreate. And with Procreate, I mean, I have an Adobe subscription and Adobe Fonts, but I don't think there's a clean process for uploading Adobe Fonts into Procreate. So I'm going through Google Fonts to find more of my futuristic vibe of the book cover and go from there. So that's the plan.
All right, I think I found a better font to use, or rather a font that I can download. Gave this filter, which was very helpful, Techno.
So we are finally done with the final product, and here are the results. This was quite the adventure, and I think I definitely struggled a lot, but I will say it made me think a little bit more about some of the studies I might want to get into. I can definitely further develop environmental studies of my pieces. So Sketches of Shay, finding her was really helpful and gave me a bit of insight on how to further study from this point forward on my backgrounds so they can add to the characters I create in the future. I would say in this process, doing a full like beginning to end rendering of Black characters has been interesting. I've been slowly working on studying how to perfect my technique when it comes to Black skin. So this was really kind of a first time for me doing a whole beginning to end in just one complete project. So this was definitely interesting. It was fun, but also really hard, especially when dealing with text. It's not my strong suit, but all things I think I can find ways to study harder on. So overall, it wasn't too bad, and I think I could do another one. So stay tuned. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this process, and I hope to do more like this on my channel. Working with DaVinci Resolve for editing is such a gamble, but it is a work in progress. So I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around. So until next time, jellyfish, bye.